Part 18. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yun Yuchi. Chapter 171. In front of Xintang Building. Although he could guess that Zhu Zhenjun wanted to save time and effort to lose weight, facing the overly hot gaze, Zhang Fengjai couldn't help but step back a few steps and raised his hands and said, "Brother Zhu, I will prescribe you a Chinese medicine prescription for weight loss later. I guarantee that you can easily lose dozens of pounds of fat in a month." "Thanks, brother." After getting Zhang Fengjai's guarantee, Zhu Zhenjun thanked him happily, and then turned to the car to take out the gift he had prepared in advance. His eyes suddenly looked behind him, and a look of surprise appeared in his eyes. Zhu Zhenjun suddenly looked at the action behind him, which immediately attracted Zhang Fengjai's attention, and he turned around to watch. Then, he saw the girl in white who had an appointment with him appeared across the road. However, what was somewhat unexpected to Zhang Fengjai was that next to the girl in white, there was a little girl with a slightly pale face, who was only 13 or 14 years old. When the traffic on the road was stopped by the traffic lights, the girl in white brought the little girl across the road to him and Zhu Zhenjun. Then, she took out 2.5 stacks of red bills and bank cards from her backpack, handed them to Zhang Fengjai and said, "You didn't touch a penny of the money you gave me." "Why?" Zhang Fengjai asked with a slightly frown, shifting his gaze from the little girl's pale face to the clear eyes of the girl in white. Chinese medicine emphasizes the 4 diagnostic and treatment methods of observation, smell, questioning and palpation. Among them, the most challenging medical skills is observation, which is to test a doctor's eyesight. The combination of physiognomy and yin and yang and 5 elements in Taoism has made him no less than his great-grandfather in the diagnosis and treatment ability of observation. Therefore, he just used the diagnosis and treatment method of observation to carefully observe the pale little girl and found that she not only lost too much essence and blood, but also lacked the spiritual wisdom of the 3 souls and 7 spirits. The spiritual soul, also known as the wisdom soul, commonly known as the name of Fushi, is the root that can control a person's thoughts and determine whether a person is smart. In other words, if a person loses the spiritual soul, he will become a child who will never grow up, which is commonly known as a moron. Losing the care and protection of both parents, and having a sister who will never grow up, for a girl who is just in her early 20s, it can be said that she is under unimaginable pressure, and it is also a time when she urgently needs money. But facing the more than 20,000 cash he gave her, and the bank card with a savings amount of 3 million, she was able to restrain her inner greed and pressure from not using it. This made him admire her, but also had a trace of doubt in his heart. The ancients said that a man of ambition does not drink the water of a stolen spring, and a man of integrity does not accept food given out of pity. The girl in white left a very backboned word, then took the little girl's hand, turned around and left Xintang Building and ran straight to the road. Looking at the girl in white who turned around and left, Zhang Fengjai's eyes flashed a trace of hesitation. Because he had a way to treat the little girl's blood loss and lost soul, but they were not related, and the other party's indifferent attitude made him wonder whether he should stand by and watch, or be thick-skinned and take the initiative to help. Seeing that Zhang Fengjai's eyes were always following the girl in white, Zhu Zhenjun, who was smart, persuaded him with his experience. "Brother, based on my experience in the love field over the years, this girl is a good girl with a strong self-esteem and will not be easily tempted by material things, so she is not suitable for you." In this regard, Zhang Fengjai could only roll his eyes in frustration, and then decided to stand by and watch and turn around and walk towards Xintang Building to see if Shen Loxi had finished her uncle's business. Not good. Just when he turned around and was about to take a step, Zhu Zhenjun's panicked voice suddenly came to his ears. When Zhang Fengjai heard Zhu Zhenjun's panicked voice, he turned around and saw a pickup truck crashing through the fence separating the sidewalk and rushing towards the girl in white and her sister. Looking through the car window at the young driver in the driver's seat, he knew that this was a long-planned assassination by the other party, and the Black Tiger Chamber of Commerce was likely the mastermind behind it. However, the only thing that puzzled him was how the other party tracked the whereabouts of the girl in white and planned a car accident murder. However, this was not the time to pursue this issue. Zhang Fengjai immediately mobilized his spiritual power to perform the Qing Feng step, and then instantly appeared in front of the girl in white and her sister. But it was too late to dodge the danger with them, so he immediately mobilized his steel-like physical strength, and then cooperated with the spiritual power in his legs and hands to directly slap the pickup truck that was rushing towards him. Bang! Accompanied by a violent collision, the girl in white and her sister, as well as Zhu Zhenjun and the pedestrians on the road, subconsciously closed their eyes. But when they opened their eyes again, they saw Zhang Fengjai's hands pressed tightly against the front of the pickup truck, and his feet were sunk into the asphalt road. The driver of the pickup truck not only did not slow down or change lanes, but continued to step on the accelerator like a madman. "Don't stand there stupidly, get out of the way." He had already caused some damage to his steel-like body and internal organs by blocking the madly rushing pickup truck in an instant. Facing the impact of the car that was constantly increasing in horsepower, Zhang Fengjai gradually couldn't hold on any longer and shouted at the girl in white. Zhang Fengjai's loud shouting instantly awakened the girl in white from her shock, and she immediately pulled her sister to run towards Xintang Building. Just as the girl in white and her sister dodged, Zhang Fengjai continued to mobilize his spiritual power to penetrate his feet and hands, and then with the help of the clapping power of his hands and the pedaling power of his feet, he directly jumped to a height of nearly 4 meters. The pickup truck, which instantly lost its obstacles, crashed directly into a poplar tree on the side of the road like a wild horse. Boom! Accompanied by a deafening roar, the front of the pickup truck was completely deformed. The driver, who did not fasten his seat belt, flew out of the broken window and hung on the bus stop sign. But the blood that kept flowing from his mouth and his motionless posture basically meant that he was not far from death. Although he landed on the ground steadily, his almost numb feet and legs still made Zhang Fengjai take several steps back and fall to the ground, causing his internal organs to shift and spit out blood. "Are you okay?" Seeing Zhang Fengjai spit out blood, lying on the ground with a pale face and tears in his eyes, the girl in white immediately knelt down beside him, asking him with concern and wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth with her snow-white sleeves. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yun Yuqi. Chapter 172. In front of Xintang Building. Looking at Zhang Fengjai, who fell to the ground and vomited blood, Zhu Zhenjun, who did not rush over immediately, suddenly roared to the sky like crazy, and immediately took out his mobile phone to dial the number. When the call was connected, his eyes were red and he ordered hoarsely, "Yu Hai, gather your men immediately, bring all the real weapons, and rush to the front of Xintang Building in Ningji City within 2 hours." "Master Zhu, what do you want to do?" a solemn question came from the phone immediately. "I want to kill people, I want to slaughter the clan," Zhu Zhenjun gritted his teeth and ordered. "Okay, I will take people to Ningji City right away," a voice of agreement came from the phone immediately. "Brother Zhu, don't let them come." Just when Zhu Zhenjun was about to hang up the phone, Zhang Fengjai's voice suddenly came to his ears. "Brother, are you going to let them go so easily?" Facing Zhang Fengjai's stop, Zhu Zhenjun's forehead was bulging with veins, and he asked with unwillingness in his eyes. He closed his eyes and took a breath, then opened them again and looked at the driver hanging on the bus stop sign. A frightening cold light flashed in Zhang Fengjai's eyes, and he sneered in a sinister tone. "Brother Zhu, although I, Zhang Fengjai, am not a bloodthirsty demon, I am not a soft-hearted good person. Don't worry, I will not let them go easily, and I will let them truly experience the horror of Taoism and let them know the consequences of offending people in the Taoist section." Cough. The internal injuries caused by anger made Zhang Fengjai cough uncontrollably, which made the girl in white feel distressed and persuaded her with tears in her eyes. "Please stop talking, okay? After taking a deep breath and suppressing the impact of the internal injuries, Zhang Fengjai forced a smile to comfort him. "Don't worry, I'm fine. Brother, don't worry, I'll take you to the hospital now." Zhu Zhenjun, who took back the order to kill and hung up the phone, also gave a warning and turned to drive the Bugatti Veyron. At the same time, accompanied by the sound of several sirens, 3 traffic policemen on motorcycle police cars stopped at the scene of the accident. Then, 2 male traffic policemen went to observe the pickup truck and the driver that was smashed, and a female traffic policeman with outstanding appearance walked up to Zhang Fengjai, asking while taking out a notebook to record. "Who is the injured person in the car accident? What happened just now?" Looking at Zhang Fengjai, who slowly closed his eyes, obviously unwilling to pay attention to the female traffic policeman, the girl in white told the other party about the car accident that had just happened in an angry tone. When she heard the premeditated murder of the pickup truck driver, the female traffic policeman's face changed slightly, and she immediately contacted the criminal police team through the walkie-talkie on her shoulder. When she heard that Zhang Fengjai relied on his flesh and blood body to block the crazy collision of the pickup truck, the female traffic policeman's eyes flashed with suspicion, and she couldn't help but look at the boy lying on the ground. With a thin physique, it is obvious that he does not have strong strength, so how can he block the collision of the pickup truck? However, when she saw Zhang Fengjai's delicate and tender appearance, the familiar picture that had been imprinted in her mind made the female traffic policeman say with surprise, "You are the little Taoist priest who asked for directions." The familiarity revealed in the female traffic policeman's surprised tone made Zhang Fengjai, who was adjusting his internal organs, open his eyes. When he saw the outstanding appearance of the female traffic policeman and the knife scar on her neck, the picture that flashed in his mind also made him immediately think of his experience with the other party. It was the day when he just arrived in Ningji City. When he was about to go to the medical school to find Bai Jinjiao, he asked her for directions at the intersection of the station. At that time, according to the face, she was suffering from emotional distress and had the possibility of committing suicide. With the help of the other party's enthusiastic guidance, he used the judgment of face reading to comfort her a few words. The clouds of sorrow in the forehead disappeared, and the clouds of glory appeared in the parents' palace. After scanning the face of the female traffic policeman again, Zhang Fengjai sighed with a smile. "It seems that you have gotten out of your emotional troubles and found the direction to work hard." "That's right." Nodding excitedly, the female traffic police squatted in front of Zhang Fengjai and thanked her. "Thanks to your timely guidance, I realized the importance of family affection and realized that men are all a bunch of big pigs. It's not worth it for me to die for it." Then, she realized that in her words of thanks just now, it seemed that all men were insulted, and she apologized a little embarrassedly. "Little Taoist priest, you are not a big pig, you are a good man." In response, Zhang Fengjai smiled bitterly and closed his eyes again, continuing to regulate his internal organs so that they could return to their original positions. "Little girl, did you call 120 for an ambulance?" Seeing that Zhang Fengjai closed his eyes and was unwilling to talk more, the female traffic police noticed the blood stains on his mouth and chest, as well as the completely torn sleeves and sneakers, and hurriedly asked the girl in white. "He didn't allow me to call an ambulance." The girl in white looked at Zhang Fengjai helplessly and replied, "Vomiting blood and being injured may damage internal organs. How can you treat it as a joke?" The female traffic police officer's face suddenly became serious. After frowning and criticizing, she took out her mobile phone and prepared to call 120. At this time, Zhu Zhenjun drove a Bugatti Veyron and stopped beside her. "Brother, I'll help you get in the car and then go to the First People's Hospital." When the female traffic police heard that Zhu Zhenjun was going to drive Zhang Fengjai to the hospital in a sports car, she quickly hung up the phone, and when she bent over to help, Zhang Fengjai, who suddenly opened his eyes, shook his head. Then, he pressed his right hand on his right chest, his left hand on his chest, and then pushed hard. Crack. Puff. Accompanied by the crisp sound of bone friction, Zhang Fengjai, whose face was instantly ferocious, spat out a mouthful of blood. Zhang Fengjai, what's wrong with you? The girl in white asked while wiping the blood tightly. Brother, are you okay? Zhu Zhenjun immediately knelt on one knee and asked. Little Taoist priest, where do you feel uncomfortable? The female traffic police quickly squatted down and asked. Don't worry, I'm fine. After taking a deep breath and suppressing the severe pain caused by the forced return of the internal organs, Zhang Fengjai smiled and comforted the girl in white. Help me up. With the help of the girl in white and the unbelievable gaze of the female traffic police, Zhang Fengjai, who was originally dying, was not only able to stand up, but his pale face gradually became ruddy. Brother Zhu, call another car and take me and the sisters to the Golden Orchid Court apartment. Turning his head to look at the sports car with only 2 seats, Zhang Fengjai shook his head and ordered Zhu Zhenjun. Okay. After nodding in agreement, Zhu Zhenjun did not call a car, but directly took out a stack of red bills from the sports car, and then rented a black business Mercedes-Benz from the street. Police sister, if you need my assistance in handling the case, you can find me at 2801, Unit 1, Building 10, Golden Orchid Court. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yun Yuqi. Chapter 173. In front of Xintang Building. After leaving the contact information, Zhang Fengjai got into the Mercedes-Benz business car with the help of the girl in white, and then left the scene of the accident under the leadership of Zhu Zhenjun. Just as Zhang Fengjai left, a police car with a horn stopped by the road, and then 4 plainclothes policemen walked out of the police car. After briefly listening to the introduction of the 2 traffic policemen and the onlookers, one of the middle-aged policemen, who was slightly fat and about 40 years old, walked in front of the female traffic police and asked in a yin-yang tone. Wang Danja, where is the Superman who is rumored to be able to block the collision of pickup trucks with both hands? Captain Li, what do you mean by what you said just now? Whether it was timely guidance to help her get rid of emotional troubles and injuries, or the risk-taking to rescue the girl in white, Zhang Fengjai's kindness and character made Wang Danja grateful and admired from the bottom of her heart. So, when she heard the yin-yang sarcasm of Li Zemming, the captain of the criminal police team 1, Wang Danja immediately questioned in an unhappy tone. The impact force generated by a pickup truck at a speed of 80 miles per hour can directly bend a steel bar as thick as an arm. Faced with Wang Danja's questioning, Li Zemming said with disdainful sarcasm. It seems that only Superman and the Hulk in the movie can block the impact of a pickup truck with their flesh and blood. Captain Li, you are the captain of the criminal police team. Your responsibility is to investigate the reasons why the pickup driver premeditated murder and whether there is a mastermind behind the murder, not to sneer at the heroes who rescued in times of crisis. Seeing that Li Zemming was not doing his job and specifically mocking Zhang Fengjai, Wang Danja, who was aroused in her heart, immediately seized the flaws in his position and criticized him in a tone of teaching. Humph. Although Wang Danja was just a traffic policeman responsible for directing traffic, her parents were both high-ranking officials in the provincial capital, and they were second-generation officials that he could not afford to offend. Therefore, although he knew that the other party had no right to teach him a lesson, when faced with her well-reasoned criticism, Li Zemming was so angry that he didn't know what to say, and finally he could only turn around and leave with a cold snort. By the way, this is the second time we've met, and I don't know your name yet. After his internal organs were successfully restored to their positions, the internal injuries caused by the collision with the pickup truck were recovering at an accelerated rate under the nourishment of the Danshan spiritual power. At this time, he was completely able to rely on the back of the luxury car alone, but the girl in white insisted on letting him lie on her legs. The seductive body fragrance, the touch of smooth skin, and the tender gaze made Zhang Fenjai's heart and mind gradually react instinctively. In order to avoid embarrassing situations, he could only find a way to divert his attention and eliminate Long Yang's impulse to look up. "My name is Xiao Yuxuan, and she is my sister Xiao Yusi," the girl in white replied in a low voice. After hearing the reply from the girl in white, Zhang Fenjai felt a little familiar, as if he had heard of this name before, but he couldn't remember it for a moment. At this moment, Xiao Yusi, who was sitting in the co-pilot seat, suddenly added proudly, "Big brother, my sister is a college student." Xiao Yusi's additional introduction made Zhang Fenjai's mind flash with inspiration, and he immediately remembered where he had heard of Xiao Yuxuan's name. "So you are the iceberg goddess of the music department of Ningji Normal College." At the beginning, when he accompanied Zhou Yaru to the restaurant of the Normal College for dinner, he caused a lot of discussion among male classmates, and the most mentioned ones were the three goddesses of the Normal College. The holy goddess was Zhou Yaru, and the iceberg goddess who was not allowed to enter was Xiao Yuxuan. Originally, according to Xiao Yuxuan's lonely and indifferent personality, she simply ignored other people's titles and opinions about herself, but when she heard Zhang Fenjai shout out the name of the iceberg goddess, she immediately felt nervous and explained, "That was just a bunch of male classmates making up stories. I'm actually a very easygoing person." She explained nervously because she was worried that Zhang Fenjai would dislike her cold and indifferent personality. "When she's arrogant, she's as cold as an iceberg snow lotus. When she's passionate, she's as hot as volcanic magma." After sweeping her eyes over Xiao Yuxuan's face, Zhang Fenjai smiled and sighed sincerely. "I don't know which man will be lucky enough to marry a loyal girl like you in the future." Zhang Fenjai sighed sincerely, causing Xiao Yuxuan to turn her head and look out the window with a blushing face, but she kept looking at him from time to time. As Zhang Fenjai sighed just now, her arrogant and iceberg-like temperament made it difficult for Xiao Yuxuan to open her heart to accept others. But if someone could knock on the door of her feelings, then the passion like a volcanic eruption would make her fall in love with the other person regardless of everything, even if she had to sacrifice her freedom and dignity for it. But unfortunately, when she and Xiao Yuja were facing the danger of death, Zhang Fenjai risked his life to save them, and his amazing performance of blocking the collision of the pickup truck like a Superman quietly opened the emotional door that she had consciously closed. By the way, Zhang Fenjai, who did not notice the change in Xiao Yuxuan's expression, suddenly thought of the car accident just now, and couldn't help frowning and asked, "Xiao Yuxuan, have you listened to my instructions during this period and stayed at home without going out?" Xiao Yuxuan stopped paying attention to the scenery outside the window, looked at her sister sitting in the passenger seat, and explained with a trace of love in her eyes. "My sister has had a very strange disease since she was a child. Not only does her intelligence always stay at the level of 3 or 4 years old, but she also has to go to the hospital for infusion every week, so 3 days ago, I took her to the affiliated hospital." After hearing Xiao Yuxuan's explanation, Zhang Fenjai's eyes flashed with a look of enlightenment, and he was basically sure that the mastermind behind the murder was Ma Zhenggu, the president of the Black Tiger Chamber of Commerce. When thinking of the 5 ghosts moving wealth formation that ensured the wealth of Dahao Entertainment City, a revenge plan of boiling a frog in warm water gradually came to mind. Although Zhu Zhenjun did not have an access card to enter and exit the Golden Orchid Court, when faced with a Bugatti Veyron sports car worth more than 10 million, the security guard did not dare to obstruct and took the initiative to lift the car bar, allowing the 2 luxury cars to drive into the community. After being nourished by spiritual energy along the way, Zhang Fenjai, whose injuries had recovered by 70%, signaled Xiao Yuxuan to return to the apartment without help, and took out 2 pieces of white paper and wrote some words, then handed them to Zhu Zhenjun and instructed, "Brother Zhu, the first piece of white paper records a Chinese medicine prescription that can help you lose excess fat within a month, but do not disclose the specific contents of the prescription to avoid being used by someone." The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yun Yuchi. Chapter 174. Golden Orchid Court, in the apartment. Brother, don't worry, I will buy 1 or 2 kinds of medicinal materials from different pharmacies and guarantee that the secret of the prescription will not be leaked. Since the reform and opening up, with the continuous improvement of people's quality of life, obesity has gradually become a chronic disease that affects health, a hidden killer that can destroy the self-esteem of young men and women. This has led to various medicines and health products that can be used for weight loss becoming a violent industry for gold digging, and the profits obtained from them are no less than the real estate hated by the Chinese people. However, nearly 90% of the various popular weight loss products on the market are counterfeit and inferior, and the remaining 10% of genuine products are not as good as the weight loss effect through reasonable exercise. A Chinese medicine prescription that can easily reduce more than 40 kilograms of fat in a month and has no side effects can definitely directly detonate the entire Chinese country, and even the entire earth. If the Taoist weight loss prescription given by Zhang Fengjai is leaked, it will inevitably cause a lot of competition between wealthy families and chaebols, and may eventually endanger their own safety. Therefore, Zhu Zhenjun, who knew the preciousness of the prescription better than Zhang Fengjai, happily took the prescription and patted his chest to promise. Brother Zhu, the second white paper records the items I urgently need now. Please buy them all for me as soon as possible. Zhu Zhenjun carefully looked at the 9 items recorded on the white paper, thought for a while, and then nodded and replied. Brother, I will send these 9 things to you before 6 p.m. at the latest. Then I'll trouble you, Brother Zhu. Zhang Fengjai thanked him, stood up and watched Zhu Zhenjun leave the apartment, then turned around and waved to Xiao Yusi. Yusi, come to Big Brother. When Xiao Yusi jumped to the sofa, Zhang Fengjai picked up a red apple from the fruit plate and handed it to her, and then took the opportunity to press her wrist with his right index and middle fingers while she was biting the apple. Then, he used the diagnosis and treatment method of taking the pulse to carefully check her physical condition. Then, he used his spiritual power to open the heavenly eye, checked her souls, and finally confirmed the cause of her qi and blood deficiency and mental retardation. He took out some fruits from the fruit plate and placed them in front of Xiao Yusi, letting her eat and play. Zhang Fengjai stood up and walked to Xiao Yuxuan, and then said solemnly, Xiao Yuxuan, I have a few words to say to you. Please go ahead. Zhang Fengjai's sudden serious look made Xiao Yuxuan nervous. Does Yusi have a twin brother who died prematurely? How did you know? Xiao Yuxuan stared at Zhang Fengjai with his eyes wide open, with an unbelievable look in his eyes. When Yusi was born, the doctor's operation error caused her mother to die unexpectedly due to dystocia. Later, when she was suing the hospital for an autopsy, she found that there was a healthy baby boy in her mother's womb. At that time, the hospital chose to mediate privately in order to preserve its reputation. Except for her and her father who later died, a doctor who was in charge of the autopsy, and 2 leaders of the hospital, no one else knew about the twin boy. Because the twin boy who died prematurely was the culprit for Yusi's frail health and low intelligence, turning his head to look at Xiao Yusi who was eating and playing, Zhang Fengjai sighed with a trace of pity in his eyes. This is impossible. Xiao Yuxuan immediately shook her head to express doubt. Although Xiao Yusi's intelligence is only 3 or 4 years old, her actual age is 14 years old. In other words, the twin brother who was conceived with her has been dead for 14 years. How could he be the culprit for Yusi's frail health and low intelligence? Come with me. Xiao Yuxuan's questioning did not surprise Zhang Fengjai at all. He motioned for the other party to come to Xiao Yusi. Zhang Fengjai directly cut his finger and forced out a drop of blood. After quickly drawing a blood talisman on Xiao Yusi's forehead, he shouted. The sky and the earth are boundless, the blood curse returns to its source. Along with Zhang Fengjai's shout, the talisman drawn with blood shone red, and a dim shadow was forcibly pulled out from her forehead. Sky eye, open. He stepped back and stood beside Xiao Yuxuan. His fingers containing spiritual power quickly passed through her eyes, and he shouted softly. Along with Zhang Fenjai's shout, the dim shadow gradually became clear in Xiao Yuxuan's eyes. A boy who looked 80% similar to Xiao Yuxi, but full of tyranny, was desperately hammering and pulling his blood curse red light. Si Yang. Perhaps because of the special induction between blood ties, the moment Xiao Yuxuan saw the boy's clear appearance, she immediately knew that he was her younger brother who had died before he was born, and immediately excitedly shouted out the name that his father had specially given him before his death. However, in the face of Xiao Yuxuan's shouting, the boy continued to hammer the blood curse red light without any reaction, and his clear eyes gradually turned scarlet. When he saw the scarlet in the boy's eyes, Zhang Fenjai's face suddenly changed and took a step forward, and then quickly wiped off the blood symbol on Xiao Yuxi's forehead. As the blood symbol was forcibly wiped off, the pulling force formed by the blood light also disappeared quickly, which made the boy who stopped struggling return to the center of his eyebrows. Si Yang. Seeing the boy who was about to return to his sister's forehead, Xiao Yuxuan reached out emotionally and wanted to touch him, but was forcibly stopped by Zhang Fenjai. No. At the same time, the boy who was about to return to Xiao Yuxi's soul suddenly turned his head to look at Zhang Fenjai, and his clear eyes revealed strong resentment and murderous intent. Zhang Fenjai, my brother is still alive, Xiao Yuxuan asked excitedly, turning her head to look at Zhang Fenjai with a gloomy face. No, he has been dead for a long time. After shaking his head in denial, Zhang Fenjai said with a cold light in his eyes. That was just a trace of resentment when he was unwilling to die young, and then with the help of Siyu's 3 souls and 7 spirits, he finally formed a resentful spirit that could not be reincarnated. Although Xiao Yuxuan was not a Taoist monk, she had experienced a lot of online novels and knew the meaning of resentment and resentful spirits. Therefore, she was no longer entangled with her brother, who did not have much affection for each other, but worried about her sister who depended on her for life. Zhang Fenjai, my sister won't be in danger, right? Not for now. After shaking his head to comfort her, Zhang Fenjai reached out and patted Xiao Yuxi's back, letting her fall asleep temporarily, then turned to Xiao Yuxuan and reminded her solemnly. But her life will be in danger soon. Xiao Yuxuan's face suddenly changed, and she immediately stretched out her jade hand to hug Zhang Fenjai's arm, begging with tears in her eyes. Zhang Fenjai, please save my sister, I can't lose the only relative in this world. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yanyun Yuqi. Chapter 175. Golden Orchid Court, in the apartment. After nodding and agreeing that Xiao Yuxuan would do her best to treat Xiao Yuxi, Zhang Fenjai took a few steps back without leaving a trace, got rid of the other's jade hand holding his arm, and asked. Xiao Yuxuan, in which month was Yuxi born? September 23, Xiao Yuxuan answered without thinking. He took out his mobile phone and looked at the date displayed on the screen. When he found that there were still 9 days before Yuxi's birthday, he couldn't help but frown slightly. Zhang Fenjai, what's wrong? Zhang Fenjai's frown made Xiao Yuxuan feel nervous and asked. Facing Xiao Yuxuan's questioning, Zhang Fenjai's eyes flashed with a hint of hesitation. Because 9 days was too short, so short that he couldn't gather enough materials needed to kill the ghost under the condition of absolutely ensuring Xiao Yuxi's safety, so he didn't know whether he should tell her this cruel news. Zhang Fenjai, I am not only Yuxi's sister, but also her legal guardian, so I am qualified to know her true situation and I am mentally prepared to accept any result. The embarrassment in Zhang Fenjai's eyes made Xiao Yuxuan immediately realize that her sister's condition was terrible and very bad, which made her more eager to know the specific reasons so that she could decide the next treatment plan. Because according to the mediation agreement reached with the leaders of the affiliated hospital, in addition to the compensation of 100,000 cash, the hospital will also be responsible for all medical expenses of Xiao Yuxi until she reaches adulthood. This is also the reason why she can still take her sister to the hospital for infusion every week despite her tight living conditions. Seeing the firm look in Xiao Yuxuan's eyes and the opinions she just expressed, Zhang Fenjai, after careful consideration, finally decided to tell the truth. Because before Xiao Yuxi's birthday, he did not gather all the materials to kill the resentful spirit, so he had to take the risk of using Taoism to deal with the resentful spirit. The risks involved may cause Xiao Yuxi's soul to suffer a severe blow, turning her into an idiot who cannot handle life, or even cause her to die of a broken soul. Therefore, only by letting Xiao Yuxuan know her sister's condition in advance can she agree to take action on the day of Yuxi's birthday. Otherwise, the consequences of the vengeful spirit devouring the soul may bring certain disasters to the secular world. Alas! After a sigh, Zhang Fenjai began to tell the real reason for Xiao Yuxi's blood loss and low intelligence, as well as the dangers he would face in the future. The Chinese country's adult age limit is 18 years old for both men and women, but before the Republic of China, the adult age limit was 16 for men and 14 for women. In other words, before the Republic of China, boys could get married at the age of 16 and girls at the age of 14, shouldering the responsibility of continuing their bloodline. For all special existences such as Taoism, demon cultivation, and evil spirits, the customs before the Republic of China are still followed, which is why the third grandfather agreed to the marriage contract with Lin Chalan when he was 14 years old. As twins from the same mother, the boy who died unfortunately and his sister Xiao Yuxi not only have a high degree of similarity in appearance and body, but also have a high degree of integration between their souls. This is also the important reason why he can rely on a trace of resentment to devour a large amount of blood and qi produced during the growth of Xiao Yuxi's body, as well as the Tianhui soul representing wisdom among the 3 souls and 7 spirits, and thereby upgrade to a resentful spirit. Adulthood represents both the maturity of character and the stability of the soul. At this time, as a resentful spirit with the same origin, it can continue to devour the remaining 3 souls and 6 spirits of Xiao Yuxi, thereby gaining a real new life. If it is just a simple new life, it will be fine. After all, it is not unacceptable for the twins who are indistinguishable from each other. But the resentful spirit is formed by strong resentment and anger, and has a tyrannical character that destroys everything in its bones. At the same time, the resentful spirit is a kind of ghost. It is the existence of the ghost after the promotion of the fierce ghost and the evil ghost, and has a powerful strength comparable to the foundation building period. Therefore, if the resentful spirit succeeds in rebirth, the first ones to suffer are the relatives and friends he knows. After hearing Zhang Fenjai's detailed introduction, Xiao Yuxuan fell into deep thought. After all, the information Zhang Fenjai just revealed completely overturned her outlook on life and also made her doubtful. In this regard, Zhang Fenjai got up and returned to the bedroom without saying anything more, and then left Xiao Yuxuan time and space to think alone. Sitting cross-legged in front of the window-sill, he used the sufficient spiritual energy contained in the 5 elements spirit pearl to improve his cultivation while listening carefully to the movements in the room. When the slight sound of opening and closing the door sounded in the room, he showed a look of disappointment in his eyes. Because he knew that Xiao Yuxuan finally chose not to trust his explanation just now, or to believe more in Western medicine. Disappointed, Zhang Fenjai did not come forward to stop it. First of all, Xiao Yuxuan, who was arrogant by nature, was the kind of person who would not turn back even if she hit the wall, and no verbal persuasion could make her change her decision. Secondly, he needed to use the remaining 9 days to prepare the means to rescue Xiao Yuxi and kill the resentful spirit to prevent the resentful spirit from causing trouble to the world after its rebirth. After taking a deep breath and calming down the disappointment in his heart, Zhang Fenjai slowly closed his eyes, and continued to use the 5 elements spirit pearl to improve his cultivation while waiting for Zhu Zhenjun to send him what he needed for the next action. In the office of the captain of the Criminal Police Team 1, Municipal Public Security Bureau, Li Zeming, who changed into the captain's uniform again, looked at the commendation document for Yang Guo's hung on the desk. His face was gloomy, and his eyes showed an unconvinced and unwilling look. Half a month ago, Deputy Director Lin resigned from the position of Deputy Director due to cerebral hemorrhage caused by overwork, resulting in hemiplegia. Now, facing the vacancy of the Deputy Director of the Municipal Bureau, the Bureau suddenly commended Yang Guo's hung throughout the system, and the meaning it wanted to express was obvious. In terms of qualifications, he joined the police force at the age of 22, worked as a policeman for 5 years, the chief and deputy chief of the police station for 7 years, the chief of the criminal investigation department for 6 years, and the captain of the criminal police team 1 for 6 years. And Yang Guo's hung. He was just a junior college student who graduated from the police academy. He was already the deputy chief of the police station when he first joined the police force. After only 4 years of training, he was directly promoted to the deputy director of the development zone branch. When his 5-year term was up, he was directly assigned to the criminal police team 2, becoming the captain of the team 2, whose position and rank were not inferior to his. If we talk about contribution, in his 24-year police career, he has received many times more awards and merits, big and small, than Yang Guo's hung. Why did the leaders of the Bureau favor Yang Guo's hung in the vacancy of deputy director? Was it because of the major cases he solved in recent times? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yuanqi. Chapter 176. In the office of the captain of the 1st Criminal Police Team of the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Bang, bang. Just when Li Zemming was dissatisfied with the commendation document issued by the Bureau at a critical moment, which might allow Yang Guo's hung to take the position of deputy director, there was a knock on the door. Come in, Li Zemming put the commendation document in the drawer and said calmly. Captain, the investigation is clear. Zheng Haikang, with a slightly solemn expression, walked quickly to Li Zemming's desk and reported. The dead pickup driver is named Zhang Nanjun, nicknamed Mad Dog, and is a gold medal thug in the underground casino of the Black Tiger Chamber of Commerce. When Li Zemming, whose face was also solemn, heard Zheng Haikang's report, an idea suddenly flashed in his mind, and he quickly raised his head and asked. Haikang, have you investigated the reason why Mad Dog drove into the 2 girls? It has been investigated. Zheng Haikang nodded and took out the notebook he carried with him. Then, based on the information recorded in the notebook, he gave a detailed introduction to the cause of the car accident and the speculation about the mastermind behind it. After hearing Zheng Haikang's introduction, Li Zemming narrowed his eyes slightly while tapping the table with his 5 fingers on his right hand to calculate whether the plan of killing 2 birds with 1 stone that he had just thought of was feasible. 3 minutes later, Li Zemming suddenly stopped tapping the table with his fingers, opened his eyes and looked at Zheng Haikang and asked. Haikang, are there any clues about the black car murder case in Sishui County now? Zheng Haikang, who had long been accustomed to Li Zemming's jumping thinking, took out his mobile phone without any surprise, and then contacted the criminal police team of Sishui County and asked about the progress of the black car murder case. Captain, there has been no progress so far. How far has the case of Lu Xiaoyi, the head of the construction department of Yongsheng Group, progressed? After hearing Zheng Haikang's answer, Li Zemming nodded, and then continued to use his jumping thinking to shift the topic to the case that Yang Guo's hung was handling. It has been officially closed and transferred to the procuratorate. Li Zemming, with a slight smile on his lips, flashed a gloomy cold light in his eyes, and ordered Zheng Haikang. Haikang, sort out the information on the premeditated murder case of the pickup driver, and then send it to Captain Yang of the Criminal Police Team 2. In addition, when you notify the Public Security Bureau of Sishui County, say that the Municipal Bureau attaches great importance to the case of Black Car murder and decides to select the backbone of the Criminal Police Team 1 to support. Yes, Captain. As a criminal policeman who also came from the grassroots, Zheng Haikang immediately guessed Li Zeming's plan to protect himself. After all, as one of the 4 major chambers of commerce in Ningji City, the Black Tiger Chamber of Commerce has been able to stand for more than 10 years without falling, and there must be amazing energy behind it. If the investigation is carried out in depth, with the evidence accumulated by the criminal police team, it will be easy to investigate Ma Zhengu, the mastermind behind the scenes, and a full-scale conflict will inevitably break out with the Black Tiger Chamber of Commerce. At that time, there will definitely be a lot of uncontrollable chaos. Now, under the overall situation of striving for stability, even if the Black Tiger Chamber of Commerce is finally completely wiped out, the hat of unstable public security will come down, and their criminal police team 1 will probably have to eat a lot of melons. Temporarily withdrawing is probably the wisest choice now. Therefore, Zheng Haikang, with admiration and gratitude in his eyes, saluted and turned away. Taking out the commendation documents from the drawer again, looking at the name that made him envious and jealous, Li Zeming said to himself with a sarcastic smile in his eyes. Yanguo's Hung, if you can completely wipe out the Black Tiger Chamber of Commerce with the help of the pickup driver's premeditated murder, then I will take the initiative to withdraw from the election of Deputy Director. Dihao Entertainment City. Even though Zhu Zhenjun's reckless driving of a luxury car 10 days ago and Zhang Fenjai's fierce conflict with more than 30 security guards weakened the deterrent power of the Black Tiger Chamber of Commerce, it did not affect the business of the Dihao Entertainment City at all. The night had just begun to fall, and the brightly lit entertainment city had already begun to have guests coming in a steady stream. In front of the automatic revolving door, several doormen and security guards who had not suffered any punishment at all still greeted every guest enthusiastically. In front of a trash can 30 meters away from the entertainment city, Zhang Fenjai, holding a red plastic bag in his hand, had been standing silently for nearly 10 minutes. He waited until the last trace of red light of the sunset was shrouded by darkness before he stepped out of the trash can and headed straight for a residential area north of the entertainment city. He walked nearly 960 meters and finally stopped in front of a row of independent storage rooms. His sight quickly swept across the 2 sides of the storage room. After making sure that there was no one around, he took out a silver needle from his sleeve, directly opened the iron door of one of the storage rooms, and then flashed into the dim storage room. Although the completely closed storage room was pitch dark, it did not affect Zhang Fenjai, who could see at night. He quickly swept across the storage room, which was only a dozen square meters in area, and his eyes finally stopped at the position in the middle where there were no floor tiles. He mobilized his flesh and blood, and began to dig with his hands like a shovel. Finally, at a depth of about half a meter, a stone statue was exposed. He continued to dig without any pause, and finally dug to a depth of 2 meters, and the entire statue was completely exposed. If the light in the storage room was bright at this time, most people would be able to recognize the origin of the statue at a glance. Suanwuo, one of the 4 sacred beasts that guard the continent in mythology and legend, is the symbol of the longest life in the world. With eyes that can see at night, he inspected the Suanwuo statue from head to toe, and his eyes finally stopped at the abdomen of the Suanwuo statue. He took out an exorcism talisman from his sleeve, directly pasted it on the position where his eyes were locked, and then used his spiritual power to drive the talisman to self-ignite. As the talisman paper burned with a scorching flame, a hole was gradually burned in the abdomen of the Suanwuo statue, a hole large enough to accommodate an adult's fist. Without the slightest hesitation, Zhang Fenjai directly put his right hand into the hole and fumbled for a while, then took out a statue about 5 centimeters tall, holding an iron hammer, similar to a New Year's picture character. It is indeed Zhongshiji, the winter plague among the 5 ghosts. After carefully observing the appearance and clothing of the statue, Zhang Fenjai sighed with a long sigh of relief. The 5 ghosts in the 5 ghosts moving wealth formation are not the ghosts of the dead, but the 5 plague messengers, namely Lu Yuanda, the eastern green plague ghost, Zhang Yuanbo, the southern red plague ghost, Zhao Gongming, the western square plague ghost, Zhong Shiwei, the northern black plague ghost, and Shi Wenai, the central yellow plague ghost. Originally, the 5 ghosts moving wealth formation was a feng shui formation used to pray for the safety of livestock and a steady flow of wealth, but the 5 ghosts moving wealth formation arranged by the Black Tiger Chamber of Commerce was completely different. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yun Yuqi. Chapter 177. First, normal statues of the 5 plague messengers are carved from the more common blue stone. Blue represents vitality and wealth. But the stone used by the Black Tiger Chamber of Commerce for the statues is red stone from the wasteland. Red represents killing and greed. Therefore, the 5 plague messengers carved from red stone will turn the originally gentle way of gathering wealth into naked robbery, which is why the Dahao Entertainment City can always make a lot of money. Secondly, the statues of the 5 plague messengers are either in Taoist temples or in high mountains, so that the 5 plague messengers can enjoy the bath of light and benefit the people who worship them. But the Black Tiger Chamber of Commerce's retrograde burial underground will cause the 5 plague messengers to punish them with thunder and anger. The result of the punishment is that the residents around the Dahao Entertainment City have bad luck and bad luck. Finally, using the statues of the 5 kinds of mythical beasts to suppress the 5 plague messengers can not only prevent the 5 plague messengers' breath from leaking, but also eliminate the 5 plague messengers' punishment of the Dahao Entertainment City. Although destroying the statue of the plague ghost in his hand can completely break the 5 ghosts moving wealth formation, the result of doing so is too merciful and cannot achieve the result of revenge. Therefore, Zhang Fengjai rushed out of the deep pit holding the statue of the plague ghost, and then opened the bag on the edge of the deep pit and took out a bottle of tiangi blood and 2 lotus seeds from it. Tiangi blood is obscene blood specially used to restrain the righteousness and the breath of gods. Lotus seeds, also known as the eyes of wisdom, can see through all obstacles in the world and find the way to light. Then, he poured the tiangi blood on the statue of winter plague Zhongshiji, and then replaced the eyeballs of the Suanwu carving with 2 lotus seeds. In this way, everyone in Dahao Entertainment City will not be able to escape the punishment of the 5 plague messengers. Then, he put the statue of winter plague Zhongshiji back into the body of the Suanwu statue, and then filled the pit again. After everything was restored to its original state, Zhang Fengjai quietly left the storage room with the bag. Next, he found a statue of a white tiger and a statue of Zhao Gongming, the western plague ghost, in a closed supermarket warehouse to the west of the Dahao Entertainment City. In a cold storage of a restaurant to the south of the Entertainment City, he found a statue of a vermilion bird and a statue of Zhang Yuanbo, the southern red plague ghost. And in the storage room of an abandoned building to the east of the Entertainment City, he found a statue of a azure dragon and a statue of Lu Yuanda, the eastern green plague ghost. Using the same tiangi blood and lotus seeds, he destroyed the operation of the 5 ghosts moving wealth formation. Back to the main entrance of the Dahao Entertainment City, looking at the still hot business, Zhang Fengjai's eyes flashed with a cold light, mobilized his spiritual power, performed the Qingfeng step and rushed to the dark place of the Entertainment City, and then entered the Entertainment City through an open window on the 2nd floor. The noisy TV sound, the rapid panting sound, and the sound of hard collisions, there was no need to look or think too much. Zhang Fengjai also knew that a fierce melee battle was going on in the dim room. Without disturbing the 2 people who were fighting, Zhang Fengjai gently opened the door, quietly avoided several security guards at the end of the corridor, mobilized his spiritual power to block the surveillance of the camera, and then walked towards the basement of the Entertainment City. Finally, he found the last array point of the 5 ghosts moving wealth array in a room dedicated to storing various famous wines. However, unlike the previous 4 array points, the 2 statues in the basement room of the Entertainment City were not buried deep in the ground, but were solemnly enshrined on the eight immortals table. Looking at the elegant statue of the mythical beast Kylin, Zhang Fengjai used the exorcism talisman without much delay to take out the statue of Shi Wenai, the central yellow plague ghost hidden in the abdomen of the Kylin, and then used the Tiangi blood and lotus seeds to destroy the array. Then, he quietly left the basement and left the entertainment city along the original route. As the president of the Black Tiger Chamber of Commerce, Ma Zhengu has three hobbies: famous wine, beautiful women, and gambling. At this time, Ma Zhengu was in his luxurious office, competing with three gambling masters of extraordinary origins. Although Ma Zhengu's gambling skills were average, he was protected and assisted by the five ghosts moving wealth array. He was killing people everywhere, and the chips he won were already in front of him. After receiving a customized high-end cigar from a beautiful woman with outstanding appearance and two open clothes, and being lit by the beautiful woman herself, Ma Zhengu, who was in a good mood, took a chip that could be exchanged for 10,000 cash from the table, stuffed it directly into the bottomless ditch of the other party, and then rewarded it generously. "This is a tip for you." "Thank you, President, thank you, President." While thanking happily, the beautiful woman threw him a seductive wink, which made Ma Zhengu laugh even more excitedly. "Ha ha! 200,000, hidden cards." The silver-haired old man, who really couldn't stand Ma Zhengu's success, held the cards he had just been dealt, and then directly increased the chips to interrupt his triumphant laughter. 50,000, look at the cards." A young man with a feminine temperament threw out 50,000 chips and turned over the cards handed to him by the dealer. When he found that his fifth card was actually the King of Spades, he immediately threw out 300,000 chips. "Add 300,000. 50,000, look at the cards." The fourth gambler was a middle-aged woman with a good appearance but a fat body. She also asked to see the cards after throwing out 50,000 chips. When she saw that her fifth card was the King of Hearts, she also happily raised the bet. "Add 300,000. 400,000, hidden cards." With the protection of the five ghosts moving wealth formation, Ma Zhengu, who was not worried about his cards at all, directly increased his chips to 400,000. 50,000, look at the cards. Ma Zhengu's overconfident behavior made the silver-haired old man somewhat lacking in confidence to choose to add money to look at the cards. However, when the dealer handed over the red A, the silver-haired old man immediately raised the price of 1 million chips generously. The next feminine young man and middle-aged woman, with the same large cards, also raised the price by 1 million. And Ma Zhengu still did not consider the increase of 1 million for his cards. When the last card was distributed, the chips on the gambling table had exceeded 10 million. "Sorry, flush, I won again." Seeing that he had 4 consecutive cards, Ma Zhengu stood up and prepared to put away the chips. "President Ma, I'm very sorry, my cards seem to be gored." The middle-aged woman smiled and gestured as she turned over the last bottom card. When he saw the middle-aged woman's cards, the smile on Ma Zhengu's face stopped abruptly. "Chairman Ma, Sister Zhao, I'm sorry, my cards seem to be a little bigger than yours." Just when Ma Zhengu's smile disappeared, the feminine young man also turned over the last card and said with a smile, "Chairman Ma, Sister Zhao Man, Brother Josehij, my cards seem to be a straight flush." Just when Zhao Man and Ma Zhengu's faces were gloomy and Josehij was smiling, the silver-haired old man turned over the last card and reminded with a smile. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yun Yuqi. Chapter 178. In Dahao Entertainment City. Compared to the dissatisfaction of Zhao Man and Josehij after losing money, Ma Zhengu, who sat back in his chair, felt a little uneasy in his heart, feeling that there seemed to be something wrong with his luck. Because this was the first time in 3 years that he lost money in his own territory under the protection of the luck of the five ghosts moving wealth formation. And the next 2 rounds of gambling made him completely lose all the bets in front of him, and he really realized that there was definitely something wrong with his luck. So, he quickly stood up and apologized to end the gambling, and sent the three silver-haired old men out of the office, and then took out his mobile phone to make a call, and his confidant Jing Gang ran in a panic. "President, I don't know which damn bastard dared to report that our entertainment city was engaged in illegal business, causing the police to start a door-to-door inspection." Just after Jing Gang reported the troubles encountered by the entertainment city, another confidant ran in a panic. "President, 5 rooms in the guest room area on the second floor suddenly caught fire, and the fire trucks that came to put out the fire were blocked on Jianxi Road. President, there is trouble in the restaurant on the 3rd floor." In the following period of time, subordinates kept reporting the troubles that the entertainment city was encountering, which made Ma Zhengu panic and more certain that there was a problem with the formation arranged by the mysterious master for him. So, after forcibly calming down his panic, he asked Jing Gang to deal with the troubles that the entertainment city was encountering, then turned around and closed the door of the office, and began to contact the mysterious master carefully. After successfully changing the feng shui layout of the 5 ghosts moving wealth formation, Zhang Fengjai did not leave Dihao Entertainment City immediately. Instead, he buried 4 peachwood swords carved from trees for 30 years, as well as 12 evil-breaking talismans and evil-breaking talismans drawn with black python blood, 9 meters to the east, 18 meters to the west, 36 meters to the south, and 72 meters to the north of the entertainment city. Patting the remaining dirt on his palm, Zhang Fengjai looked up at the entertainment city shrouded by wealth and bad luck, with a smug smile in his eyes. 3 days. If there is no top feng shui master who is proficient in yin and yang and the 5 elements to break the 5 ghosts moving wealth formation, then the Dihao Entertainment City, which is punished by the 5 plague messengers, can only last for 3 days at most. By then, not only will the entire entertainment city be completely closed down, but Ma Zhengu and others who are plagued by bad luck will end up in an extremely miserable end. After withdrawing his attention from the entertainment city, Zhang Fengjai turned and ran straight to the road 20 meters away, then stretched out his hand to stop a taxi, and headed to Guanghe Huafu, Zhu Zhenjun's villa in a good mood. Because Shen Zhengao and Shen Loxi were busy with Lu Xiaoyi's affairs, the work of the group was all on the shoulders of several vice presidents. As Sulitzi, who had just been promoted to vice president, not only had to take over the construction projects in Lu Xiaoyi's hands, but also had to take on the land auction led by Shen Loxi. This made her busy with socializing and business trips all day long, and she had not returned to the apartment for almost 5 days. Therefore, Zhang Fengjai, who was in a good mood, was too lazy to stay alone in the empty room, and planned to go to Zhu Zhenjun to have a few drinks. But unfortunately, Zhu Zhenjun had something to do and had returned to the provincial capital overnight, leaving him without a friend to drink with. Fortunately, Zhu Zhenjun had given him the key to the villa, so he didn't have to turn around and return to the apartment. Standing in front of the bedroom window on the 2nd floor of the villa, holding a bottle of 15-year-old national wine in his hand, Zhang Fengjai looked at the bright moon hanging in the sky, with a look of longing in his eyes. Being a stranger in a foreign land, I miss my family more during every festival. There are still 10 days before the traditional Mid-Autumn Festival in Huaxia. Recalling the past Mid-Autumn Festival, playing with friends in the mountains during the day and drinking and watching the moon with the 3 grandfathers at night, his homesickness became stronger. Thinking that he and Sulitzi had already confirmed their relationship, it was also considered to have completed the task assigned by the great-grandfather and the 3rd grandfather. Thinking that the resentful spirit devoured Xiao Yuxi's soul on the day before August 15, it would not affect the itinerary of the next day. Zhang Fengjai decided to take his beloved woman back to Shushan, let the 3 grandfathers meet the future granddaughter-in-law, and relieve his homesickness by the way. After making a decision in his heart, he immediately took out the mobile phone in his pocket and prepared to discuss with Sulitzi about returning to his hometown to visit the elders during the Mid-Autumn Festival. A shadow that suddenly flew quickly from the windowsill caught his attention. If it were an ordinary person, he might think that the black shadow just now was just an ordinary bat. But for Zhang Fengjai, who can see at night, he knows that the bat that just flew low is not only a demon beast that has mastered demonic power, but also the blood on its sharp claws indicates that it has just experienced a bloody killing. 10 years of turmoil have made the demon beast's strength soar and surpass the Taoist sect in all aspects. As long as it does not involve his own safety and interests, Zhang Fengjai is too lazy to offend the demon beasts, so he chooses to turn a blind eye and continue to make calls. But at this moment, another black shadow, as fast as the breeze, floated across the windowsill and headed straight for the demon beast bat that just flew away. Looking at the black shadow that flashed by quickly, Zhang Fengjai stopped making the call and showed a look of doubt in his eyes. Because the black shadow that just floated by was a sexy woman in leather clothes and leather pants, a Taoist monk who cultivated spiritual power. But the cultivation and strength of the leather-clad woman were far inferior to the demon beast bat she was chasing. So why did she pursue it so riskily? Although he was full of doubts about the action of the leather-clad woman chasing the monster bat, he didn't want to meddle in other people's business, so he chose to ignore it and continue to call. But for some reason, after calling 3 times in a row, no one answered Sulitsi's phone. Thinking of her recent busyness, Zhang Fengjai guessed that she might be resting, so he put away his phone and planned to continue calling tomorrow morning. Boom! Just as he put away his phone and prepared to continue drinking and watching the moon, he suddenly heard a sound of a heavy object falling. Looking out of the window, Zhang Fengjai found that the sound of the heavy object falling just now came from the leather-clad woman chasing the monster bat. At this time, the leather-clad woman tried to stand up with her hands on the ground, but the weakness caused by the severe injury to her body made all her efforts in vain. At this moment, the monster bat exuding a strong demonic aura reappeared in his sight with its wings flapping, and rushed towards the leather-clad woman as fast as a gust of wind. Although he didn't want to meddle in other people's business and cause trouble, he certainly couldn't just stand by and watch when seeing his own kind about to be slaughtered by the ferocious monster. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yun Yuqi. Chapter 179. Guanghe Washington Mansion, Zhu Zhenjun's villa. The spiritual power combined with the speed of King Fengbu made Zhang Fengjai appear in front of the leather-clad woman in an instant. Immediately afterwards, the sharp sword that quickly condensed spiritual power directly slashed at the monster bat that was rushing as fast as the wind. Being able to feel the terrifying power contained in the sharp sword condensed with spiritual power, the monster bat knew that he was no match. After abruptly changing the direction of its flight, he retraced his steps and planned to escape. Zhang Fengjai, you can't let it go. Being able to condense physical objects that release spiritual power from the Danshan shows that the young Zhang Fengjai has advanced to the 7th level of qi condensation. Although the leather-clad woman was very shocked by this, thinking of her important mission of killing the monster bat this time, she quickly suppressed the shock in her heart and shouted loudly. However, facing the leather-clad woman's instructions, Zhang Fengjai dismissed the sword in his hand as if he was not paying attention, then turned around and prepared to ask about the other party's origins and how the other party knew his name. But what he saw next made him turn away immediately with a blush on his face. Because the tight leather jacket on the opponent's chest and the tight leather pants on the abdomen were scratched by the claws of the monster bat, and the 2 peaks without any cover were close to being fully exposed. For Zhang Fengjai, who was still a young bird, the visual and psychological impact was too shocking, and it also gave him some instinctive reactions. Zhang Fengjai's weird behavior made the angry leather-clad woman immediately lower her head and look at herself. When she realized that she was completely naked, she didn't show any shyness or panic. She just barely covered some important parts with her right hand and asked with a cold expression. Zhang Fengjai, why didn't you obey the order to hunt down King Black Bolt just now? When he heard the leather-clad woman's question, Zhang Fengjai thought that she had completely tidied up the exposed parts, and quickly turned around to prepare to respond to the other party's question. But when he saw that the other party's cover-up method not only failed to completely protect the exposed parts, but also added endless charm and fantasy, he could only continue to reply with his back turned to the woman in leather. First of all, I have no interest in chasing you, and secondly, you are not qualified to order me. After hearing Zhang Fengjai's tough reply, a look of anger flashed in the leather-clad woman's eyes. She let go of her right hand that was covering her important parts, then took out an ID from the pocket of her leather pants and threw it directly towards Zhang Fengjai, who had his back turned to her. He reached out to catch the certificate thrown by the woman in leather clothes, and using his eyes capable of night vision, he began to check the information recorded on the certificate. Name, Zhuang Jian. Surname, female. Age, 28. Nationality, Han. Work unit, China Supernatural Research Institute. Job, cleanup. Job position, squad leader. Job permissions, no responsibility. So you are the leader of the Supernatural Research Institute. He held the ID between his fingers and threw it directly to Zhuang Jian. Zhang Fengjai did not feel any shock or surprise, and the tone and attitude of his reply were not respectful at all. Zhang Fengjai, since you know the existence of the Supernatural Research Institute, you should know the cooperation agreement reached between the country and the Taoist sect, and you should know more clearly the responsibilities and obligations that you should abide by. Seeing that Zhang Fengjai was very familiar with the mysterious Supernatural Research Institute, Zhuang Jian flashed a hint of arrogance in her eyes and asked in a slightly condescending tone. Now you can answer me clearly, why did you let Black Bolt go privately just now? My strength is low and I am no match for that monster bat. I am unable to stop the opponent's breakout. I wonder if you are satisfied with this answer. Zhuang Jian's condescending attitude made Zhang Fengjai feel quite unhappy, and at the same time, the tone of her reply became even more unkind. The Supernatural Research Institute was established at the beginning of the founding of the People's Republic of China by the founding father and the heads of all Taoist sects. The main purpose is to defend and prevent the invasion of the Western Holy See and foreign races, and to prevent the domestic evil cultivators and monsters from making trouble. Because of the turmoil before the founding of the People's Republic of China, although the invasion of foreign enemies was the main factor, the evil cultivators and monsters who feared chaos in the world were also very important behind the scenes. According to the original agreement signed, the Institute will select young people from all over the country who are suitable for practicing Taoism to practice from scratch. People in the Taoist sect not only need to provide complete cultivation methods and martial arts, but also are responsible for guiding and testing their cultivation results. At the same time, when facing supernatural creatures that require defense and precaution, people in the Taoist sect have the responsibility to obey the instructions of the Institute and have the obligation to cooperate with the work of the Institute. Of course, the Institute will also give people in Taoist sects certain powers beyond secular laws, as well as sufficient resources for practice. Although the requirements of the founding father were a bit excessive, his starting point was also for the sake of the common people, so the heads of the 10 major sects signed an epoch-making agreement on behalf of the entire Taoist sect. But no one expected that some evil cultivators and monsters would take advantage of the 10 years of turmoil to continuously infiltrate the top management of the Supernatural Research Institute, causing the mysterious organization that was supposed to protect the safety of China to become the main culprit of the Taoist monks. This is also the second main reason why monsters dare to appear blatantly in the city, and the Western Holy See and alien creatures dare to set foot on the land of China. Nowadays, even the ordinary disciples of the 10 major sects of Taoism will not obey the orders of the Supernatural Research Institute, let alone Zhang Fengjai, who actually has not much to do with the Taoism. Even if he had known that Zhuang Jian was from the Supernatural Research Institute, he might not have rescued her in time. Faced with Zhang Fengjai's almost rogue-like reply, Zhuang Jian was so angry that she didn't know what to say. Ignoring Zhuang Jian's anger, Zhang Fenjai asked with a cold light in his eyes. Zhuang Jian, you and I just met for the first time. How do you know my name and my identity as a Taoist? Because he suspected that the Supernatural Research Institute, which was infiltrated by evil cultivators and monsters, was secretly collecting information about Taoist people to prepare for the possible battle between good and evil in the future. If the facts are really as he guessed, then he must return to Rat Mountain immediately and discuss countermeasures with the three grandfathers and several special beings. Who? Taking a few deep breaths in succession, Zhuang Jian explained with a cold expression to suppress the anger that kept rising in her heart. In addition to being the captain of the Suzaku squad of the Supernatural Research Institute, I also work part-time as a teacher in the history department of Ningji Normal College. A few days ago, when you and Zhou Yaru went to the college cafeteria for dinner, I happened to be eating in the cafeteria too. I heard Zhou Yaru call your name, and I also saw the way you taught Chen Xiaofeng and Jiu Jiang a lesson. The Best Physiognomist. Author, Yan Yun Yuqi. Chapter 180. Guanghe Huafu, Zhu Zhenjun's Villa. After hearing Zhuang Jian's answer, Zhang Fenjai secretly breathed a sigh of relief, and two questions emerged in his heart. Zhuang Jian, since you are a teacher in the history department of the Normal College and the leader of the Supernatural Research Institute, why didn't you eliminate the heart-slaying spider in the college in advance? So that it not only devoured the blood and heart of Zhou Jingying, who has a mysterious physique, but also took the opportunity to breed a large number of offspring. When she heard Zhang Fenjai's question, Zhuang Jian immediately lowered her head with a guilty conscience. Although her cultivation was not as good as Zhang Fenjai's, as a cultivator with successful cultivation, she was still able to investigate the murderer of Zhou Jingying through the little clues left at the crime scene. However, just when she reported the results of her investigation to the institute and applied for a stronger helper to hunt down the heart-slaying spider. But the answer she received was that she could not only not intervene in the matter, but also find a way to erase all traces of the heart-slaying spider left at the scene. Although Zhuang Jian was very puzzled about this, she was used to obeying orders and did her best to follow orders. This was the fundamental reason why there was no residual qi of the heart-destroying spider in dormitory 508. Seeing Zhuang Jian bowing her head and not speaking, Zhang Fenjai could probably guess the origin of the heart-destroying spider, which was probably related to the Supernatural Research Institute. This made him lose the mood to continue asking questions, and he drove the guest away indifferently. Zhuang Jian, this villa is my friend's home. I am not qualified to invite you in as a guest, and I don't want to cause unnecessary trouble for my friend, so you should leave now. Zhang Fenjai, how can I leave like this? Zhuang Jian asked with gritted teeth, taking off her hands that covered her breasts and pointing at her bleeding abdomen. Turning her head to look at Zhuang Jian's injured abdomen, and then looking at her fully exposed breasts, Zhang Fenjai answered without any heartbeat or softness. Spiritual power can seal the acupuncture points to stop bleeding, spiritual power can nourish the internal organs to heal wounds, and spiritual power can prevent exposure with body movements. Why can't you leave here? You. Zhang Fenjai had no idea of the cold-blooded way of being gentle with women, which made Zhuang Jian so angry that she didn't know what to say again. However, through his blushing face turning around just now, Zhuang Jian guessed that he was very likely a young man who had never been in love, and immediately lay on the ground with a plan in mind. He put on a shameless attitude of "I won't leave, what can you do to me?" Humph. In response, Zhang Fenjai couldn't help but sneer, turned his head and looked at the direction where the monster bat left just now, muttered to himself, leaving a seemingly sighing, but actually naked threat, and then flashed back to the villa. I don't know if the monster bat with the ability to fly and a strong sense of revenge will come back again. Damn it! After hearing Zhang Fenjai's potential threat, Zhuang Jian gritted her teeth and cursed, used spiritual power to seal the bleeding wound on her abdomen, and then put on her leather jacket backwards to cover her breasts. Afterwards, she endured the pain caused by the movement of her internal organs, struggled to stand up, and then took out a specially made mobile phone to contact her companions while stumbling out of the villa. Standing in front of the windowsill, Zhang Fenjai's face gradually became solemn as he watched Zhuang Jian stumbling out of the villa. When he learned that Zhuang Jian was a history teacher at the normal college, he had two questions in his heart. In addition to the heartbreaking spider that killed Zhou Jingying, there was also the 5 ghosts moving wealth formation that had existed for more than 3 years. With the prosperity of Dahao Entertainment City, which completely violated economics, it would definitely attract Zhuang Jian's attention, and she would be able to learn about the origin and cracking method of the 5 ghosts moving wealth formation through the Supernatural Research Institute behind it. But until now, Zhuang Jian and the Supernatural Research Institute behind her have not made any moves. This made him suspect that the backers behind the Black Tiger Chamber of Commerce might have a close relationship with the Supernatural Research Institute. Thinking of this, Zhang Fenjai drank the remaining half a caddy of white wine in the bottle in one breath, then sat cross-legged in front of the windowsill, and then continued to improve his cultivation and strength with the help of the 5 elements spirit bead. As the sun rose, Zhang Fenjai, who was immersed in cultivation, was awakened by the sudden ringing of his mobile phone. Thinking of the 3 calls he made to Sulitsi last night, he quickly took out his mobile phone and took a look, but unexpectedly found that the person who called him was Yanguo's Hung. Although he was a little disappointed in his heart, he still answered the other party's call. Zhang Xiao, good morning, Yang Qiuashan's polite voice came from the phone immediately. Captain Yang, please speak directly if you have anything to say. Knowing that the other party would not call him for no reason, Zhang Fenjai did not beat around the bush and asked directly. Zhang Xiao, the intentional murder of a truck driver in front of Xintang building yesterday seems to have something to do with you. I hope you can cooperate with our public security organs to solve the case as soon as possible. Yang Qiuashan's tone of negotiation came from the phone. No problem. Since he suspected that the backer behind the Black Tiger Chamber of Commerce might have a close connection with the Supernatural Research Institute, Zhang Fenjai was worried that the other party would use evil means without scruples to reverse the 5 ghosts moving wealth formation again. The consequence of doing so would not only cause more innocent people to be hurt, but also make him bear a lot of retribution for the cause and effect, so he has been thinking about how to safely sneak into the Dahao Entertainment City. And Yang Qiuashan's initiative to invite him to cooperate in the case just gave him the opportunity to enter the Dahao Entertainment City. Then I'll drive to pick you up now. After getting Zhang Fenjai's consent, Yang Guo's Hung on the phone couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Yesterday, when he was about to get off work, he suddenly received a case transferred by Li Zemming, the captain of the 1st Criminal Police Team. Whether it was the murder of Du Ying in Miaoying's rental house or Lu Xiaoyi's evil crimes, with the help of Zhang Fenjai and the red-clothed female ghost, he easily solved the case without any effort. At the same time, the pride and passion in the criminal police's heart also made him suddenly eager to encounter a truly challenging case. Therefore, facing the intentional murder case of the pickup driver transferred by Li Zemming, he readily agreed and took over. However, when he read all the case files and found that all the clues pointed to the Black Tiger Chamber of Commerce and its president Ma Zhenggu, he immediately became nervous. Because he knew the Black Tiger Chamber of Commerce as well as Li Zemming, and knew the risks of using premeditated murder to eliminate the Black Tiger Chamber of Commerce, and he was even more aware that he was facing a critical moment for promotion. Therefore, his first reaction was to return the case to the Criminal Police Team 1.